Hello and welcome once again to EXPU Labs. I'm Bryon Ellington, Chief Learning Officer for eXp Realty, and I'm joined today by my friend Devante Blow, who's not only a realtor with us in Bellingham, Washington, he's also a speaker and author of Just One Layup. Devante, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about the business. So you're there in Bellingham, Washington, our hometown, so to speak, for EXP. Tell me about your business as a realtor.
Yeah, you know what? So I started off in 2020, actually, right when everything was going crazy. Just a little backstory. My wife and I, we moved away from Oak Harbor, which is about an hour and 15 minutes away from Bellingham, and in June of 2020. So we got married in June of 2020, sorry. We moved away from everything we know, and we started completely new careers. So ever since then, it has been the best move of our careers, of our lives. And real estate has been amazing. I've learned so much. It's one of those industries where you don't know a whole bunch, but then you stick around and you learn something like almost daily. So I'm excited to be where I'm at.
Yeah, in June of 2020, that was an interesting time to get married, an interesting time to move, and an interesting time to start your real estate career as well. That's awesome. Well, if you can do it then, you can do it anytime. So tell me about the business in terms of volume. I know you've got a team there. How big a business are you guys running today?
Yeah, so you know what? We have 13 agents on the team, myself and my business partner included. And we will close north of 100 deals for the first time as a team this year. And let's see what else. We really harp in on honesty. The name of our team is the Home Team. And it's a play on sports. I'm really big into sports. So the home team, you get the home team advantage when you work with us. We're having a good time, though. We have some really solid agents that the chemistry cannot be understated. And that's what contributed the most, I'd say, this year to all of our closings.
And great business, too. And yeah, the sports theme is going to come up here as we talk about your book, because you've recently published Just One Layup.
Just One Layup. Yeah, it comes out October 2nd.
Okay, so just in time for EXP content. All right, that's awesome. Congratulations.
That was strategic, by the way.
Yeah, I see it. So tell me about the book, because it's based on philosophies that you've learned kind of as a realtor and as a human being as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of relevance to what you're talking about in the book to what we do. You want to share a little bit about the game plan?
Yeah, so the game plan is built off of 3 pillars, which is pregame. These are the things that you do before you're in the game, which would be the next pillar is game time. And then once the game is over, if you haven't decided a clear winner, you go into overtime, which is the 3rd pillar, overtime. And so pregame, if you've ever been to a basketball game, you'll see, the players, they come out, they're doing layups, they're passing it, they're shooting it before the game starts. They want to get into a rhythm, they want to get into a flow, and they want to practice the fundamentals so that when they get into the game, it's just like, hey, I've been here, I've done this. Let me do the things I know that I'm good at to succeed. And so, one of the major things that I believe in is actually not believing in one size fits all. And so what I talk about in the book is, hey, listen, if I wanted to have Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal on my team, I'm not going to put him at point guard. He's 7'2", 300 plus pounds. Okay. He's not going to be running up with the ball. He's going to be down in the post, doing his thing really close to the basket, slamming elbows against other big dudes. Now, if you have Steph Curry, who's an amazing point guard, I'm going to put him at point guard. And so I help real estate agents really identify, okay, what is my position? What is my highest and best use? Because everybody wants me to do everything. You should really lock in on who you are.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have, in my past lives, I've trained presenters, faculty trainers and presenters. And what I always share with them is know exactly what you're going to say in the first 30 seconds. Everything else have bullets. And then I always share the Mike Tyson quote, which is everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Yeah. Right. And so just be ready, because there's going to be a question you don't see coming, you're not prepared for, and things of that nature, and just know how you're going to deal with those types of things and then get back on track. Right. And I think that's a lot of what you're saying. Talk to me about overtime. What's the concept there?
Yeah. So the concept of overtime is, hey, you're at this listing appointment and it's going great, but you can't really put a pin on if they're going to sign or not, right? And they've also told you, hey, we're going to interview a couple of more agents. So in overtime, if you ever played any sports, overtime is so important, because one mistake can cost you 60 minutes worth of hard work. but also one well-placed play can make you the victor, right? So in overtime, okay, yeah, oh, Mr. Seller, you're interviewing 3 other agents. Awesome. Have you already met with them? Yes, we met. You're the last person. Hey, if everything was equal, all pay was equal and we're all the same, who would you use? Ask questions like that, or dive into, something that dive into your uniqueness and give it to them right then. Whether that be, this is probably the time to throw in a trick play. You've ran the plays that we already know. We've ran the plays that we've been successful with. Now throw in a trick play to catch them off guard. Oh my gosh, Devante, I didn't know that. What? You're the oldest of 20 children. I bought that out actually. I don't know why that's so important to people. It's really cool, but I brought that out in a listing appointment, and it makes me, human to people. Like, oh my gosh, tell me about your mom. And now we're just jonesing, but throw a wild card out there. Throw a calculated wild play.
That's right. Well, what's interesting is that there are going to be the occasional objections that you never see coming, right? And it's only going to come up with that one client. Or a handful of clients. But they're the objections we know are going to let me think about it. Well, we want to interview this other agent first. I've got somebody else who's willing to do it for we know the objections that are coming, right? Yeah. And if you don't understand how you're going to powerfully respond to those objections in a way that not just answers the objection, but pattern interrupts their line of thinking and gets them to rethink their line of thinking, you're gonna miss a lot of opportunities for yourself. All right, so they've come in, they've shared some information. You're asking these questions, you're building rapport. What's next? Are we walking with them around the house? I know we got to be careful here because you look like you can handle yourself pretty well. There's some of us who are smaller or named Bryon who may not be able to. Right, so don't put yourself in precarious positions. But how do you handle the tour?
Yeah, so that's part of the intro. So I'll ask a couple questions. Do you live in this neighborhood, or are you just out shopping? They'll tell me that. I'll give them the info about the house. And then my last question to them is, would you like to tour or would you like to peruse by yourself? I don't even know where I learned the word peruse, and I never use it outside of open houses. But it's just
your go-to word for an open house.
Go-to word. It's the scripting, right? We practice this. It's the pregame. So I just say, would you like to peruse by yourself? And oftentimes they're going to say they're going to peruse by themselves, which is great because it gives them time to walk around, talk amongst themselves, and it gives me a reason to ask them the last question before they leave. Before I ask them to fill out the feedback form, I don't ask them, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how does this house fit for you? Don't ask that. Ask this very simple question. How does this house compare to what you're looking for? And the reason we ask that is because now we put them in an emotional state, and we actually put them in, a dream state of, oh, well, actually, you know what? We've been looking for about a year, and this house is a little bit smaller than what we're looking for. They start to tell you everything that you need to know about their home search. This house is a little bit smaller, or this house is a little bit bigger, or the backyard is just too small. If this house was in this neighborhood, oh my gosh, with a bigger backyard, we would love it. And knowing your market, I know where that house is. Actually, that house popped up on the MLS 2 hours ago. So that's probably the most important question after you've done everything is, how does this house compare to what you're looking for?
Okay, great. And so hopefully at this point we've captured their contact information. And how, take me through the next, short-term, long-term follow-up with these folks. What does that look like?
Yeah, so all of us want to hit the jackpot and write the offer for that house right then and there. Of course, right? That's the ultimate goal. I've never done that yet, actually, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It will. Look, this is what I tell agents all the time. That dream that we all have, the international buyer who flies in with the scarf around their neck and the suitcase full of money, who takes one look at it and says, "Perfect, I'll take it here." It'll make a great cocktail story when it happens. And undoubtedly, if you're in this business for a long time, it will happen.
Yes,
that is not why you do an open house. No. So you do an open house for the follow-up. So what does that look like?
And so the first thing you're going to do, just like I told you, to do that thank you video text to the listing agent, do the exact same thing. If they left their information, they left their number, their phone number, send them a video text saying, hey, hey, Bob, thank you so much for coming to 123 Main Street at my open house today. It was very great. It was very awesome to meet you. Whatever. And, whatever the script is, and you just send that. Hit send. And hit send in the house as well. Like do the video in the house, because then it looks like, oh, they're still at the house. I recognize that house. I recognize that person. I will watch this video. And then they get back to you, hopefully.
That's awesome. So that's short term. What about long term?
And then long term, you know what? Hey, obviously you put them in that CRM and you're reaching out, some people say 10 times in the next 2 days. I am like, oh, that feels a little icky. I met this person. I know they don't want me reaching out every day, but I will reach out with a value add. Hey, here are some houses that, fit the description of what you're looking for based on some feedback. I just wanted to send these over. Let me know your thoughts, and so you're on them. I think the shortest time from meeting somebody at an open house to closing was closing a house with that person was probably about a 3-month period for me. And I thought that was pretty quick. I've been showing this one guy houses 2 years, and I met him 2 years ago at open house. So, it's but the fortune's in the follow up. So put them in the CRM. The CRM is going to have their canned responses and touch points, but make sure that you're being human too.
Yeah. It's funny in FastCap, we talk a lot about building your pipeline in the 100-day sales cycle, which what NAR tells us is if you met a ready, willing, and able buyer or seller today, it's going to be about 100 days before you're closing. Best case scenario, right? Unless it's a cash deal and whatever, but most of us about 100 days. And when you kind of look at your pipeline as a pipeline, and you want to fill it to where there's just regularity in what's coming out of that pipeline, your 50 open houses in 50 days or whatever the case might be, that makes all the sense in the world, because to your point, the people that you met at that open house 100 days ago, maybe you might have somebody closing today, maybe you might have somebody closing next week, and so on and so forth. But what are you doing for the you from 100 days from today? Are they going to like you, or are they going to be cursing you? Right. So, okay, great. So we're putting them on the campaign. And you said something that also triggered something to me too, is another concept that we teach EXP agents is this idea of lead conversion campaign, lead cultivation campaign, immediate needs buyer seller, future needs buyer seller, because you will get the neighbors who come in and someday, that sort of thing. So what does that campaign look like versus the people who are actively in the market looking to buy or even sell, who come into the open house, and what does that look like? And you talked about my friend Ben Kinney, I think, was the first person I ever heard talk about a long time ago, that he called it the 10 days of pain. And he ultimately ended up giving that to Market Leader, right? That whatever your short-term lead conversion follow-up plan is, you need to differentiate between those two. So I like very much that you do that. Anything else post open house that we should really be thinking about as agents to really make sure that we're being successful at these?
You know what? You've reached out to the client, you reached out to the listing agent, and you've left a note for the seller. Now it's just, hey, follow up and then do the same thing the next day. Go and do another open house. What the heck,
Yeah, and for you, you're doing open houses with your team. I mean, how often are you guys doing open houses?
Yeah, I mean, oh man, we're dominating during the weeks, and then we found that on Fridays, a weird time. So from around 3 to 5 p.m. is a beautiful time to host open houses. And more so when the kids are in school. What we found is the parent that stays at home with the children while they're at school, or while the kids are at school, they're out having some fun. And oftentimes in my experience, it has been the lady will come in and she'll like the house and say, oh, I'm going to tell my husband about this. And it happens versus when the guys come in, I'm going to tell my wife about this, and I get ghosted out from guys, 9 times out of 10. So
that's funny. It's interesting. I like I said, realtor, mom was a realtor. All my friends, it seems like, are realtors. And I just watched person after person in my life kill themselves and work just crazy hours. And I've seen real big trauma from it, divorce, relationship issues with their kids because they don't even know their name anymore. And I've always said, look, you draw boundaries, you choose who you want. And by the way, your tribe is out there. Whatever those boundaries are, your tribe is out there. and for you to say, you don't necessarily have to have an open house that goes, from noon to 2 during your kiddo's soccer game on Saturday. You can do that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as your priorities of life are taken care of. But you get to choose when you do these types of things.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I was talking with friends of mine, Dwayne Richardson and Jeremy Davis. Interesting approach to their open house is what they do is they put a sign on the door. I'm out talking to the neighbors. That's their open house, by the way. They're just using it as a circle prospect. That's all they're doing, right? And whether you're doing that or you're doing the traditional open house that you're describing, which is a very effective way of generating leads, the whole entire thing is about lead generation. And how you choose to do that and when you choose to do that is up to you. So I like that very much. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
All right. And speaking of that, thanks for sharing everything with us today. We really appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us and sharing your hard-won wisdom. And for all of you out there, thanks for tuning in as well. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Devante. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you.